Welcome to Stanley, Scuba, Sailing, and Adventures. I started diving as a teenager and eventually decided to become a dive master. I started sailing as a young man and took many classes with the American Sailing Association and completed an offshore passage of over 1,000 miles nonstop. I love exploring and believe that life is an adventure. It is what you make it. I appreciate you joining me. Please hit that subscribe button. Enjoy. Scuba diving, Nassau Bahamas. Dive site, Twin Sisters. This dive site features 2 oil tankers, or part of an artificial reef, planned wrecks, placed bow to bow. This video was recorded over the course of a single dive on the afternoon of May 16th, 2022. I started the dive at approximately 3:30 in the afternoon and the dive lasted about 45 minutes. I had an average depth of 40 feet with a maximum depth of 65 feet. From the information I could find, which wasn't much, these 2 oil tankers were donated by the Shell Oil Company. They were scuttled around 2000 by Stuart Cove's dive shop. I'm not sure why they call them the Twin Sisters because they don't look identical to me, at least not from the hardware on the deck. Although I guess sisters don't have to be identical. They are definitely similar in size and appearance. Both wrecks are quite large and fun to explore. I've been on this dive site in the past, but it's been many years since I've been back. I think it's been 5 to 7 years since I've been here. From the little I recall, the wrecks seem to be in similar condition to what they were last time. There are plenty of openings to explore in the wreck. On this occasion, I had forgotten to bring my flashlight and left it back at the hotel. Having only the video lights on my camera, I decided not to go inside. I think I must have visited this site at least 2 or 3 times in the past, over the course of a couple different trips. I distinctly remember the wreck layout and all of the piping on the deck. I also recall that there were always an abundance of fish around the piping. Here you can see a Nassau grouper coming toward me. If my memory serves me correctly, I recall seeing on past dives here reef sharks, sea turtles, a variety of angelfish, and some parrotfish. I ended up shooting a lot of photographs on this particular dive. Most of those made their way to my Facebook page and Instagram. On this particular trip to the Bahamas, I didn't bring my normal setup, which is a Nikon with an Icolite dive housing and GoPro mounted on top. Instead, I brought my old Sea Life DC-2000. I still have a GoPro mounted on top of that and short arms with a couple lights. My GoPro battery ended up dying about halfway through this dive. I started shooting at a higher resolution and higher frame rate, and that seems to really chew through the battery on the GoPro. Anyway, a little more than halfway through this video, I switched over and started shooting video with the Sea Life. In my opinion, the Sea Life doesn't do as good of a job as the filter and the GoPro do for instant color correction while you're shooting video. So in this video, you'll see my first attempt at color correction in DaVinci Resolve. Anyway, I'm curious if you can tell the difference in the video, tell when I switched cameras, and tell where the color correction is. If you think you can tell, please leave some comment for me and let me know about what time you think that change occurred. I believe these angelfish are Townsend angelfish. They look similar to the queen angelfish, but because they don't have as much blue in the face, I believe they are actually Townsend angelfish, which is a hybrid. The fish with the red belly that was in frame and will soon be coming back into frame, I believe to be a stoplight parrotfish in the juvenile phase. Here it is with the red belly and red tail. Amazing how different it will look by the time it becomes an adult. Here I am still moving around the stern of the first wreck that I approached. It sits a little deeper than the other wreck. I chose to start my dive at the deepest point and then work my way up to the shallower wreck toward the end of the dive. As I was making this turn, I did see a small reef shark off in the distance. It was at least 100 feet away and moving very quickly, so I was unable to catch a glimpse of it in the camera frame. I'm now moving the length of the wreck toward the bow. It was a little overcast, but I would say the visibility was at least 200 feet. These wrecks are quite large, so it's a little deceiving when I shoot off into the distance. The visibility doesn't look that great. The water was a comfortable 82 degrees. I was wearing a shorty, but probably could have gone without any exposure suit. I tend to like to wear some sort of exposure suit, even if it's a shorty. Mostly because of jellyfish. I've been stung a few times and it's quite unpleasant. The bow of these boats seem to be connected by some extremely large anchor or bow line. You can see it here, and you can start to see the bow of the other boat coming into view. There's also a mooring line that goes to the surface from the bow of the other boat. I assume this is used for dive boats to tie off. There's a parrotfish of some sort at the very bow of this boat, and I'm really having a tough time with the identification. I believe it's in what they refer to as an intermediate stage, at least in the book that I'm looking at. There's a juvenile, intermediate, and then terminal phase. Some parrotfish really change appearance a great deal over the course of their life. Anyway, I'm not certain if this is a blue parrotfish, a stoplight parrotfish, or even possibly a princess. I would lean toward the blue parrotfish. I tend to see a lot of those around here anyway, but there are a great number of the stoplight parrotfish as well. There it goes. Let me know what you think that is. Here we are at the bow of the second ship. Again, these wrecks are pretty large. Here you can see another diver in the distance. That gives you some frame of reference to the size of these wrecks. I mentioned earlier that these wrecks are still in pretty good condition. I take for granted that most folks probably know shipwrecks deteriorate faster in seawater than in fresh water. This is because the iron-based metals that comprise ships corrode much more quickly in saline than in fresh water. The sodium and chloride elements in the salt water chemically accelerate the process of metal oxidation that leads to rust. Here I've caught up with the rest of the dive group, now on the deck of the second wreck, facing toward the bow and turning to face aft. You can see the deck on this boat is a little bit different than the other. There's a nice size angelfish cruising down the starboard side of the boat. And here in front of me I have a dog snapper. Try to get in for a close-up. These other fish with the yellow tails that there seem to be a great abundance of, I believe, are yellow-tailed snappers. I guess the name is fitting. I tend to take my time when I'm diving, and as a result, I'm just nearing the stern of the second vessel as it's about time for the dive to come to an end. Just a quick look in the wheelhouse, and that'll be it for this dive. This had been my second dive for the day and brought to an end my first half-day diving on my return to the Bahamas. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.